All right, my friends. Now let's talk about the debriefing, of course, because when everything is said and done, your client really needs to be informed about what happened on their network and what vulnerabilities you've been able to find and what you've not been able to cover, risks as it were. So what is a debriefing meeting? Basically, it's a short meeting with your client. You're going to go over a report. I prefer to make a PowerPoint presentation because it's a little bit easier to follow than just a bland, boring document. And you're going to go at least over every issue and explain the risks. That is most important, the potential risk and the potential impact. Always include mitigations as well. Those are really important factors. Now, when are we going to hold this meeting, you might be wondering. After everything has been done with your pen testing and the report has been created, you're going to invite the client to a meeting. Usually, that's a senior in the team that's going to do that. And we're going to send in our reports at that moment so they can take their time to review it if they would wish. Really take your time for this. 2 to 4 hours is not unusual to go over one of these reports in full. Book about 2 hours, I would say. If it's a really big report, you can book more, but really don't bore your client to death, of course. Go over them, go over the risk, go over the impact. If they don't have any questions, move on to the next one. Ask if a separate meeting is required with the engineers, because sometimes the engineers want to be informed about specific vulnerabilities as well. At that moment, write down which engineers need to be informed about which vulnerabilities. Write that down. Don't just remember it, because we're not that good at remembering, especially if we're stressed out about presenting a report. As for the stakeholders who should be present here, as the least manager of the project on the client side, on our side as well, security manager on both sides. That is a requirement in my eyes, of course. If he's not there, he might look at the recording, but he at least has to look at the report there. The engineers might be present in that meeting as well, including the architects. Those can be present if there are architectural tests being done, architectural bugs being found, then you can include them, and the developers as well, of course. Some tips and tricks, my friends. Again, make a PowerPoint presentation, but do use a template, because you don't want to create a new PowerPoint every single time. You just want to fill it in. Have the relevant testers in the room in case of questions, so people who helped at least have them on call, so you can call them into the room if required. Always go over the conclusions as well. That be the remediation steps, the conclusions themselves. Go over the compliance if required for a test as well. Really, really important. So I hope that makes things a little bit more clear. You guys are going to have to debrief me. You guys are going to have to tell me, at least in a video message, what you found, and I would like to know how I can fix that as well. So keep that in mind, my friends.